Alright, can you hear me now? Say Taco if you can hear me. Alright, we're 1 minute away. Perfect. Be right back. Give me a few more minutes. Alrighty. Now I got nobody in here. Let's do this with gusto. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special Halloween edition of Stories After Dark. And happy Halloween to all of you. How are you guys Halloween Hallows Eve doing tonight? I hope it's doing good. So, if y'all don't know by now, okay, I'm seeing 2 viewers right now. If we can all share this stream with everybody you know, I would much gladly appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share this on Twitter right now. Because I bet you anything that, everybody's coming, still over at, HorrorCon and everything. I wish I would go, but I don't have a VR set, nor do I know how to use VR chat, so there goes that. So, anyways, how's everybody spending their Halloween's Eve tonight? We just got done carving pumpkins, and I'm gonna be posting them on my Twitter and Instagram soon. And I saw that CCG is the only one who shared this stream. Come on, people, we need to get a promo squad up in here. Yeah, I'll post the pics later. But yeah, if y'all don't know about now, it's a show where I narrate your favorite creepy pastas and stories from. Really, dude. And read some classics from at least 80 years ago. Give me 1 second. People in this house don't know when to give somebody privacy. See. close the door all the way. Thank you. I am so sorry about that. It's like I said, my son's stepfather slash nephew's father thought it was okay to make a bottle in the middle of the night and everything. I mean, granted, he's a baby, but it would have been nice for him to make bottles ahead of time and not disrupt my stream. But this is the problem we experience. Yay! Alright. So like I said, I narrate your favorite creepypastas to some classic tales that not many people heard of. Including such tales from Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, and even some from Bram Stoker. And there was some stories from H.P. Lovecraft, but I'm not doing that again. At least I have to try to get some practice. So before we get into some stories, let's go over the chat and see what we got in the stream. We got Subject Illuminated, welcome. We got the beautiful Kit Bina, welcome. Lucid Lupus, saying evening, but he probably ducked out early. But welcome, thank you for coming. Creepy Clown Girl, welcome. Mina Mia. I'm gonna get your name right, but welcome. The amazing what the fuck with a burrito, welcome if you're still in the chat. And we have Dustin, aka PA Nightmare, welcome. And we're gonna start off with the tale from this book called Gothic Fantasy, Chilling Horror Short Stories. And like I said, if you have any written stories that you would like me to narrate, I'm looking at two of you authors, then look at the pinned comment in the chat, in the live chat, and send them to either my email or my subreddit. With that said, let's get on to our first story. And we're going to be reading from Chilling Horror Short Stories, Gothic Fantasies. And mind you, I didn't get a chance to read the whole book and everything. So some of these stories are going to be blind readings. And when I mean blind, I mean, oh no, I can't see, but I can read Braille. And like I said, share this stream with everybody you know, and don't forget to hit the like, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. With that said, let's get on with our first story. And this story is from Michael Paul Gonzalez. This story is called Worth the Having. I'm going to drink a little bit of water before we get started. I should drink water more often. How does it feel? It asks this as it cuts deep into the inner thigh, flesh and fat, unzipping apart. No, flesh and fat zippering apart. Its tongue probing into the fresh wound. How are you doing? The thing wouldn't want an answer, even if there was one. It only wants screams. This is going to be worth it. You're going to love next year. This will make it worth the having. I used to wonder what could be worth this. The heat of its palms pushing legs apart. The cold, slow rivulets of saliva dripping down like icy syrup, washed away with slowly pulses of hot blood. that single tooth in its lower jaw, barbed and curved. That's that awful knowing smile. Knowing smile from the puckered sphinx. Maybe I should consider a better light. As a matter of fact, there we go. Where was I? Ah, yes. Smile from the puckered sphincter of its mouth. This year, I finally understand the phrase. Worth the having. This year, the final year of our horrible agreement. The thing still uses that word, agreement, as if I wanted any of this. I understand it all. 22 years ago, I cut across the backyard of Mikey Slater's dad's home. This was the night before Halloween. The night I later learned that the thing would stretch its legs and go for a walk. The thing was the reason for the season. The whole tradition of Halloween had started because of it. Masks, costumes, disguises, none of it for fun. All of it for primal camouflage to help the prey hide from the predator. Nobody remembers that part of the tradition anymore, not even the thing itself. It just knows to walk the night before Halloween, and it walks to me. I don't ask where it goes, where it leaves, or where it leaves me, or what it does on Halloween night. I'm just glad it's gone. Anyways, Mikey Slater. His parents had been divorced for a few years, and I treated our hangout like a second home. The other bonus was that it was a quick end round the neighbor when I needed to get home fast. I was on my way from checking out Mikey's Halloween costume at his mom's house, and had about 2 minutes to get home before dinner was cold and my ass would get spanked. We made a pact to dress as characters from this cartoon about interstellar nights. We had some great things rigged to our costumes. Lights and fake swords. The whole works. We experienced that tomorrow. We experienced that tomorrow night. We'd barely be able to do any trick or treating, since we'd be mobbed by admirers wondering how we obtained these amazing costumes. I valued the 6-foot wooden slatted fence. I vaulted the 6-foot wooden slatted fence, landed soft in the garden, not caring if my presence was announced or not, since Mikey's dad never cared if I cut through. And then I saw Mr. Slater lying in the grass near the back door, naked. Another person straddled him, pinned his arms down, pale skin, soft curves. It looked like a woman. The back did anyway. The head was too small and bald, with a mohawk of downy feathers. This silhouette dipped down, the head bobbing just like above Mr. Slater's crotch. I was young, but not so young that I didn't have a small clue about what I might be seeing. I heard a whisper. Almost done. Almost done. Next year is going to be fantastic. This will be all worth it. And Mr. Slater replied, No, 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 no. No more. There's nothing I want. Everything I want is gone. Occasionally he hissed, he breathed, stifling a scream. Pleasure wasn't part of this. No more. No more, please. You must want something. It's you and I forever. You don't want any. If you don't want anything. And here's the thing. And here the thing. Yanked a hand back. Yanked a hand back from Mr. Slater's thigh. And that's when I noticed the blood. The flap of flayed skin that initially mistaken for underwear pulled down. I tried to turn around, grabbed the fence to bail out. I wanted to get out of there. Wanted to be home. You want? It whipped its head around at me, and I felt its voice in my head more than I heard it. Take him! Take him! Mr. Slater cried out, pointed at me. I can't explain any of what happened next. I can explain the face I saw when I locked eyes with the thing. Can't explain the speed with which it moved. It crossed the yard in three hitching strides, seizing my ankle as I tried to get out of the yard. Really? Hold on. God damn it. I hate it when I live with family. I can't explain what happened next. Can't explain the face. Can't explain the face I saw when I locked eyes with the thing. Can't explain the speed with which it moved. It crossed the yard in three hitching strides, seizing my ankle as I tried to get out of the yard. I flopped my upper body over the fence and struggled for anything to grab, to pull, to get free. I heard a whisper. No. Felt it. Mine. One quick bite on my ankle. A burning pain, searing, electric. Make a wish before you go to bed. Think about what you want next year more than anything. We have an agreement now. It wasn't a question or an offer. It released me and I dropped to the ground in the alley behind the fence. I reached my ankle. There was a fading flash of pain and burning, but no blood, no cut. Mikey's dad came stumbling across the corner, wearing nothing but a pair of shorts, holding a handgun. Is it still here? Is it? I said nothing. What could I say? What the hell was happening? My God, if he hadn't shown up, I'm free. He smiled at me and turned away. There was a flash in his eyes, a moment where when he was teetering between life and death. That gun, the fulcrum between finishing something very bad or starting something new. His hand rose slowly. But, don't... Mikey. Those were the only 3 words in the mess behind my lips that could break through. It was enough. His hand swung free and heavy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Try to just try to think of good things for yourself. He looked at the gun again. What the hell? I was gonna do with the What the hell was I gonna do with this thing? Don't ever think about trying to kill it. Whatever you do, just take what just take what you have coming, and then think of, think of good things for yourself. I barely remember getting home. By the time I was through my front door. The details were hazy. My ankle was fine. No cut, no scab, not even a scratch. I slid into bed, trying to remember the thing. The face, the hands, anything. But it was all gone. A haze. My gaze drifted over the shelves around my room. The random toys scattered around. The baseball bat leaning against the corner. I hopped out of bed and brought it close by, feeling like it would keep me safe, not knowing from what. As I drifted off that night, my last thought was about Little League and my wish that I wasn't too damn fat to play shortstop. That's good enough, a whisper shot through the center of my brain. Cold sweat broke over my upper lip, then calmness, then sleep. Then I woke up the next morning. I'd forgotten the previous night completely. I was full of energy, light on my feet. I felt ready to take on the world. Things felt a little darker in the afternoon as I walked by Mr. Slater's house on my way to Mikey's. But I couldn't quite peg why. I saw him sitting on his porch, a strange smile on his face. I kept moving, and that night was a Halloween much like any other. The following year, I dropped a lot of weight, got faster, made the team, didn't think of how or why, just attributed it to hard work and eating right. Then early October came, and I found the postcard on my pillow when I got home from school. I like to say I got cold chills when I picked it up, or that I felt like flesh or leathery hide, or that it felt like flesh or leathery hide, but no, just plain cheap cardboard, typed in a neat white font. On one side, it read, "Halloween is almost here. Did you have a good year? What did you do? What did you want next year? Think hard. Make it worth the having." I wanted to show the card to my mom, but by the time she got home from work, it was gone. Every time anyone brought up Halloween, this icicle of dread would rocket down my spine, then disappear in a haze of thoughts about candy and costumes. An itch at the back of my mind that I couldn't quite scratch. The night before Halloween, laying in my costume before going to bed, my only thoughts were on candy and sneaking around the dark. It was 2 in the morning when I woke up to a great weight on top of me, pushing the blankets down tight and cocooning me inside. I opened my eyes to see a silhouette, slight shoulders that were a bit sharp, full breasts that seemed too round, slender arms that pinned me down. It was too dark. It was too dark to see details. I tried to cry out for my parents, but the thing lifted a hand to my mouth, cold, boneless fingers clamping down, the palms spreading like cold jelly as the thing grew. As the thing drew its hand back, forcing one, then two fingers into my mouth. There was a texture at the bottom of them, something between a snake's belly and octopus suction pads. Shh, the whisper in my brain. Have you thought on it? Thought on what? The postcard I sent. What you want for next year. Who are you? It doesn't matter who I am. It matters who you are. You are mine. How did you just as you hear me in your mind, I hear you in mine. You are mine. What does that mean? It means you are mine. I felt the thing rock down with its pelvis, grinding into my stomach. The agreement is not without benefit to you. I didn't agree to anything. Does a fish agree to feed the shark? Does a tree agree to be struck by lightning? You are mine. The thing drew closer to me, and I squeezed my eyes shut. Everything grew bright until I could make out shapes, then colors. Then I could see it in front of me. You don't need your ears to hear me, nor your eyes to see. You are mine. It was molted and gray. The torso was curved and sensuous, but the head, that too small head, the puckered sphincter of its mouth that prolapsed in and out, exposing that single jagged tooth, the two giant eyes, bulbous and red, shot with veins, with no pupil, the two smaller green eyes in between, no ears, no nose, the tuft of white feathers in its striped eye over the shining, bald skull. Squeezing my eyes shut tighter only seemed to draw out more clarity. You need to understand how this works. I will show you. Think of a woman you desire. I couldn't. I was 12. There wasn't desire yet, only a strange fascination, an occasional stirring if I saw a woman on TV with a swimsuit, or that time I sneaked a peek into my dad's private magazine collection. The thing on top of me changed. Hair grew. The head filled in. The face melted and morphed into the perfectly sculptured features of that lady from Beach Patrol. Who had just done the cover shoot of Playboy. bronze skin, swaying breasts, a sculptured collarbone, skin coated in a sheen of sweat, just as I seen her in the centerfold. Better. It hadn't changed the feeling of the fingers in my mouth, cold like snails, twitching and probing around my tongue. Every year on this night, I'm going to find you. I must feed. In exchange, you will tell me something you want. And over the course of the next year, you shall have it. But I don't want you are. And the fingers extended slowly, pushing against the back of your throat, gagging me. Mine. Understand it. Tell me your desire. Make it worth the having. I want you to leave. Not part of the bargain. Not your place to ask. You are mine. The fingers pushed deeper, still until I could feel them sliding down into my throat. I couldn't breathe. Instinct kicked in, and I began to thrash. I needed to escape. I bit down hard on the fingers, breaking the skin, cold, peppery incisor oozing into my mouth. The thing didn't draw back. It moaned, reached up on its other hand, and caressed itself. More. I pushed harder on my mouth, wanting me to bite. I let my jaw go slack. It sighed, the kind of sigh I was too young to understand as sexual frustrated. Its fingers pulled back. I felt my lungs suck in air. Though I thought I was going to die. Thoughts of school crossed my mind. Thoughts of family trips I never get to take. I never get to see Disney World. Is that something you desire? I nodded in spite of myself. The thing on top of me slowly morphed back to its original form, spinning around in my body so I could see its back. I felt it pulling at the sheets covering my feet. I want you to think harder next time. Make it good. Make it worth the having. This is sacredly worth. This is scarcely worth a toe, let alone two. Wait, what? And I could feel its cold fingers on one hand clamp down on my ankle, while the other fingers slithered between my toes, constricting them, spreading them apart. No, I said. No, please don't. Next year, you will remember this and understand what it means when I say make it worth the having. Its head lowered and its lips wrapped around my big toe. It sucked once, twice, then clamped down with a force I can't describe. That single tooth razored into the meat of my toe and flicked. It flicked, cutting, tearing. I screamed. I had to have screamed, but there was no sound. I could feel the blood pumping out of my toe. Feel the vibration of seared of seared tooth on bone, clamping, twisting, pulling, until it was all electricity and cold air. The thing turned to me and pursed its lips. It showed me my toe, sucking it so it bobbed in and out of its mouth before tipping its head back and swallowing. The opening between its legs pulsed and shuddered, cold slime pooling on my sheets. It sighed. One more. This time, I did get a scream out, a small yelp as it latched onto my second toe and began chewing again. Its leg crackled and bent around at an impossible angle until its foot was over my mouth, spreading like taffy, covering my nose and lips so that no sound could escape. No breath could enter. There was no smell, just electric pain, vibrant agony. A crack, a tear, and more cold air. The second toe went much easier than the first. The creature arched its back and swallowed, rippled shivering down its flanks as it came again. It spun, bringing its face close to mine. I squeezed my eyes shut to no effect. And you enjoy your trip. Next year, think harder. Without moving its torso, it raised one leg, stretched it towards my windowsill, gripping hard. It pulled itself up and out into the night. I stared down over my soaked sheets at my foot. The silhouette in the dark room danced through the purple lightning of pain. It didn't seem to be bleeding. It didn't hurt. I didn't pass out from the pain. I passed out when I tried to count my toes and had stopped at 3. I woke up screaming as I felt someone shaking my shoulders. Unbiden. I saw that face, round and leathery and purple, hovering inches from mine. Honey, it's okay. When I opened my eyes, I saw my mother's face. Are you feeling okay? Your bed is soaked. Did you wet the bed? I burst into tears, kicking at the sheets until they came free. I could feel the burning sensation in my toes still, the raw wound scraping at the fabric. No, I shouted. Look what it did. Look what it did. I held my foot up. 5 toes. Had I not already been crying? I must have started then, or possibly even wet the bed out of sheer joy. I wiggled my toes, jumped out of bed. What has gotten into you? The big toe was a bit red. My second toe had a defined hard ridge beneath the skin like a scar. But they were there. They were back. I was whole. My toes were mine. Did you stub your toe last night? My mom grabbed at my foot, poking at my toes. No pain. No, Ow! There was a scab on the other side of my big toe. Damp sheets. No blood. 5 toes. You need to get up and be more careful. You get a cut like that, you show me, okay? Otherwise, it could get infected and you might lose your toes. You wouldn't want that, would you? I blanched. You need to get up. It's Halloween. Big breakfast to fuel up your big night, right? Her hands sank into the dampness on my sheets. The essence of that creature had left behind in its ecstasy. Her eyes became vacant, distant, as she pulled the sheets off and bunched them on the floor. Jesus Christ, 2 more pages. Well, I'll wash these later. You go run along. She absolutely licked as her fingers she absolutely licked at her fingers as she left. By the time I made it downstairs for breakfast, I'd forgotten all about my aching toes. By the time I was out the door, the sheets were in the wash and my mind was on Halloween. The events of the evening never returned to traumatize me. I don't remember much of the school year that followed, but I remember our vacation. The best time we had as a family. I remember years later, my parents telling me that trip had been a new beginning for them, bringing them out of a rough patch that had been blissfully unaware that I had been blissfully unaware of. The next year, when Halloween drew close, I got another card, this time in my lunchbox at school. Matte black, bearing only the reminder: make it worth the having. Reading those words instantly sent a spasm of pain through my foot and up my spine. I couldn't see the creature in mind, but it was omnipresent. That assault, that pain, and the reward it brought. The night before Halloween that year, I could ask if I could sleep in my parents' room. And as soon as the question left my mouth, a whisper buzzed through my brain. Oh no. Don't make them watch. Why would you do that to them? So I didn't. I slept in my closet that year, thinking it might not find me. But I was wrong. I could explain this. Break it down year by year and tell what happened. But that's not why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It's about the phrase, make it worth the having. That second time, it stood at the door of my closet, towering over me, taking on features it must have thought looked friendly. The face shifting from Santa Claus to Jesus to cartoon mice to rabbits. I don't want you to go through this for nothing. Think big. Please stop. I'll stop when I'm full and finished. I'll still come back next year. Don't wish for toys. Don't wish for things for other people. Think of yourself. Remember our meeting last year? You know what's about to happen will be far worse than a few toes. Don't let this happen for nothing. Make it worth the... I screamed hard, muffled by the gelatinous glob of fingers that had forced into my mouth again. I just wanted it to shut up. I never wanted to hear that phrase again, but I knew. But I knew I would. I knew this. All of this would be happening again and again. That's a big burden to put on the shoulders of a child, right? Having almost anything you want in exchange for giving the thing what it wants. That's not accurate. In exchange for a few things. In exchange for the thing taking what it wants. I mean, what can a child think of that would be worth that? The second year, all I could think of was sports cars. It made me try again. Why ask for something I couldn't legally use? $1 million? Same thing. It had to be personal. So the second year, I wished to be the fastest, strongest kid in my school. Done. And in exchange for that, for the next 60 minutes, the creature flayed my arms and legs with that horrible tooth. Peeled back my skin and chewed 3 strands of exposed muscle from each limb, snapping them near one tendon and pulling them out like spaghetti. Lifting. Shit. Lifting it as high as it would go before placing the strand in its mouth and sucking it down greedily, biting off the other end of the tendon. It held its gelatinous foot over my mouth. The whole time, tiny suction foot pads inhaled the screams that never made it into the night. Blood everywhere. Pain like I never felt. To that point, anyway. When it was done, it left me wide open like a biology class project pinned in a tray. Trying to sleep and failing miserably. I passed out at some point and woke up in the morning, mildly sore from fully intact. Testing out my newfound strength on my dad's weight bench. By the end of the week, I was running home from school without breaking a sweat. By the end of the school year, I was medaling in every sport I choose. When October rolled around and the black postcard fell out of a library book I pulled from the shelf, the sinking dread in my stomach was almost matched by the excitement of the next thing I planned to ask for. That night, it ate half of one of my kidneys. Once it managed to pull the organ free, it wasn't so bad. But getting there was sheer hell. 14 years old. I made the wish any hormonal rampaging boy would, and that year I got every girl I was interested in. Was it worth it? Hard to say. But that year I came to understand that I was addicted. That I understood what worth the having meant, and that my life was going to improve. I thought I had it all figured out. I had to try something new, and something new, despite seeing the thing lick its lips, despite seeing the horrific tongue dance over that single stupid tooth that it puckered in the puckered maw it called a mouth. Something new was too enticing to resist. Year by year, piece by piece, I was going to become a better man. Everything that's happened in my life is a bit of a blur. But not those nights. Those I have perfect clarity on. I got better than perfect eyesight that the year it spent hours working on my eyeballs working my eyebrows free from the sockets after using one jagged nail to cut open my eyelid, to cut my eyelids off. More length and girth downstairs. It was the first year in college, after all. That year was sheer torture. It changed its shape to a calendar girl, arousing me, bringing me to climax early in spite of myself. The soft, supple features of the woman's body betrayed the cold, slimy oatmeal feeling of the thing's mouth and throat. Then it came. Then came the pain. My member first peeled like a raw potato in that single hooked tooth. Then the soft tissues torn free. Then the tongue probing its open wound at my crotch until my testes were pulled free from my body and eaten. No, nibbled, held daintily between thumb and forefinger, with pinky extended until they were gone. That night, I was going on a camping trip, so the thing didn't even need to muffle my screams, and I obliged it until I was choking on my own vomit, and my throat was raw. Physically, I was fine the next day, but it took me a few weeks to get the feeling of it all out of my mind. Once I did, I quickly developed a reputation as big man on campus in every way imaginable. By the end of the year, every man and woman worth having knew my number. After college, my life became career oriented. Real estate, stock market, passive income. I wanted to be rich while having as much free time as possible to research, because I needed to know how to finish this thing. Mikey's dad, all those years ago, had simply begged the creature to stop. When it saw me, it did. I asked it one year if I can do the same thing. It only repeated. It only replied, "You are mine." I researched it through college and beyond. When I had enough money to hire people, they researched it too. I couldn't be very specific with them about my reasons, of course, but I could offer grants to religious studies students, hire paranormal investigators, demonologists. 6 solid years of research yielded nothing. Not a damn thing. Every ancient society, every dead culture I could study, I did. End to end. To the extent that there was some buzz that I'd be nominated for a Nobel for advancing the studies so far. No one had heard of the thing. In college, I had the idea to go back and ask Mr. Slater about it. But he looked at mine like I was crazy. I wonder how much time it had spent. I wonder how much time it had spent with him, since his life wasn't so great. What if that was the first night he encountered it? What if the thing had been with him for years and was on the downswing, taking things away instead of granting them? I'd never know. I was 35 with another Halloween approaching, a wife I loved, and my first child on the way. And that was the final straw. I couldn't have this thing in my life with a child in the house. This year, I was going to ask for an exit. This year, I received something worse than a black postcard in the mail. This year, the afternoon of what I'd come to think of as visitation night. We had a rush at the hospital. Complications. Our baby was lost. It made no sense. My wife was perfectly healthy, and everything had been going fine, but there was no heartbeat, no sign of life. My wife was inconsolable. She had been sedated. She had to be sedated. And even as they were putting the IV into her, she was crying out, asking, "Will this hurt the baby? Could you give... You can't give me these drugs. It will cause complications." My wife refused treatment, insisted that they were mistaken. We went home, the doctor pulling me aside to suggest that we let her rest a few days, then discuss inducing labor to finish the procedure. Finished the procedure. Just like that. Our baby had somehow progressed from human being to benign growth. A mole to be scraped off, a boil to be lanced. All of those cardboard pumpkins hanging on the wall, smiling, calm. This stupid friendly skeleton on the door. They were the only witnesses. That night it came, slow, silent, and sad-eyed. It sat at the front of the couch where I was sleeping. My wife wanted to be alone, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't notice that I drifted off to sleep. But 1 minute it wasn't there. Then it was, lying a hand on my calf. I didn't feel fear. I only felt afraid. I only felt empty. "I am ready." "Just take something and go," I said. "I am ready to end our bargain." I was speechless. It felt strange. Another gut punch. Another loss. Another branch pruned from its tree pruned from the tree of my life. Formed the tree of my life. I wanted to dictate terms. I wanted a safe exit. But once the baby was gone, I wanted it back. I wanted it to continue. I needed it. This thing. This certainly. "I will give you your child." "What?" "I will give you your child. I will take it. I will be the surrogate. Tomorrow, you will be a father." It wasn't a question or an offer. But my wife, she will remember nothing. "I don't want this. You can't have it. My child, you can't. It's done. Have I ever asked for your permission for anything? The bargain ends because I say so. You are mine. Tomorrow. You will be a father." They led me to the bathroom, made me open the door, made sure my wife I can't describe the look I saw on her face. How she instinctively curled her arms over her stomach. How her feral glare burned through me until it came into the room. Then she froze and softened and looked at me, her lower jaw working, trying to get out a question to ask me what was happening. It mounted her, stretching its arms out, wrapped those rubbery, cold fingers around her wrists, pinned her legs down, didn't bother to cover her mouth because there was nobody to disturb her with her screams. All I could do was watch, and I knew what it felt like. I knew exactly what she was going through. I chuckled in spite of myself that she'd never be able to hold the pain of this childbirth over my head. That single tooth tore her nightskirt open. That sphincter mouth traced kisses down her collarbone, between her breasts, suckling at her nipples until milk started to flow. Then it moved lower, elbows and shoulders dislocating so that it could keep her pinned down. Not that she was fighting at this point, only staring at me with wide eyes, panting for air until the thing's mouth reached her thighs. How does it feel? It asked this as it cuts deep into the inner thigh, flesh and fat zippering apart, its tongue probing into the flesh wound. How are you doing? The thing wouldn't want an answer, even if there was one. It only wants screams. This is gonna be worth it. You're gonna love next year. This will make it worth the having. Its head stretched thin, narrowing impossibly at the mouth. The entire face, a tubular beak, and a hard proboscis that poked at her uvula until it found its way inside. She screamed then. My wife. I could do nothing but watch it root. The heat of its palms pushing her legs apart. The cold slowed rivulets of saliva dripping down her sides like icy syrup, washed away with the regular and slowing pulses of her hot blood. That single tooth in its lower jaw, barbed and curved, that awful knowing smile from the pucker of its mouth as it comes up for air, slowly retracting its head to stare at me, neck bent around the wrong way, slime coating its face. It made that hideous ring mouth into an intimidation of a smile. It's a boy. It plunged its beak into her stomach, sliding through skin and fat and muscle, splaying her open. Cold, gray slime oozed down her, mixing and pooling with her blood. That ringing in my ears isn't ringing. It's her screaming for the baby. Screaming my name, cursing me, damning me, cursing the thing even as it lowered its face to her filleted abdomen and forced its head inside. Its back lurched up once, twice, as if taking great swallows. taking great gulping swallows, and it came. Orgasmic shudders rippling through its spine as it straightened and stood from the bed, staring at me, one hand cupping its swollen belly. It caresses my cheek, pushed my fingers inside my mouth, pressed until my knees buckled. It lowered me onto the bed beside my wife. Tears strained from her eyes, her organs warm and wet against my stomach. I reached out to her, stupidly tried to cradle her in my arms. The thing stood above us and arched its back, convulsing, straining, eyes swelling until the veins that lashed them burst and bloody tears flowed. It straddled her, crouching lower and lower until it positioned its vagina above my wife's open torso. It pushed until a child came. A membranous sac slid out of its dilated opening and landed inside of my wife. I saw through the pale pink membranes of his face, calm and serene, sleeping. I woke to her screams, my wife clutching my arm, saying, "It's time! Holy shit, it's time! They were wrong! My water broke! Do you feel it?" I climbed from the bed, soaked, but not in her blood. The amniotic fluid, aside from that, the sheets were clean in a way my memory could never be. And we drove to the hospital and strode through the doors like a champion, pushing her wheelchair through the throng gathering there. I stared at the confused faces of the nurses and doctors and told them it was time. They checked signs. They double-checked charts. They made me sign waivers promising not to sue over all of the stillbirth confusion. These things happen sometimes. We will of course be praying for you, for your pain and suffering for exchange for. I told him to shut the fuck up and do their job. We could discuss it later. There would be a later. There would be a rest of our lot. There would be the rest of our lives. That's all that mattered. You are all that mattered. Our son. My son. Mine. I'm telling you all of this now before you understand it, because I never wanted you to hear it again. I never want you to know about any of this. It's gone. It's gone and it won't come back. It always keeps its promises. You're in my arms, with your perfect eyes, your ruddy cheeks, and I love you. More than anything. More than everything. I'm laughing at your gurgles, your tiny nose twitching, your perfect little ruby lips when they stretch into that smile. That same kind of goofy smile your mother gets. Your happy little gummy mouth that looks perfect. Perfect and normal, except for that one thing that confused the doctors. That single thing, that single smooth tiny tooth beaking through your lower gums. The doctors say this isn't unusual. They call them natal teeth. I know better. You yawn wide, showing me that tiny ivory blade. You stare at me placidity, and I can only think. worth the having. Wow. If that ain't a fucking if that ain't a fucking succubus story, I don't know what is. Let's go ahead and look at the chat and see who's here. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, he really hate me. Apparently, while I was reading, Jensen decided to go live. I bet you anything everybody's over there right now. Anyways. Let's see what's in the chat. If anybody's still here. Let's see. Happy Halloween. Yes, happy Halloween, Mia. Happy Halloween to everybody. Josie Kitty, welcome if you're still in the chat. Kit Bina, hello. Yeah, it is maybe a succubus story. Hey, welcome back, Ruby Clown Girl. And Mia Mina as and kind of writing. What? I don't understand that. Subject Illuminer has returned. Apologies, had to take care of something. Back now. Oh, welcome back, man. Glad you can. The last few minutes of the story. Need some water. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that story. For a second there, I thought it was going to be like some erotica there, but yeah, that was just like very, 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 very creepy and nasty. But yeah, if I ever see something that's discussing like that in my neighbor's house, I would be nope. I saw nothing. I know nothing. Moving on. Oh, you're kind of writing. Sorry about that, meaning I read that wrong. I'm glad you're still listening. What message? But let's see who the participants are. There's Kit Bina, Mina, and Subject Illuminate. Saw. Yeah. Like I said, I saw Josie Kitty here. I guess she left. And I saw Being Nightmare, but I guess he left too. But I bet you anything, he's at Jensen's. Mia says, I'm listening more than writing. You can write and listen at the same time? I mean, I don't mind it at all. But yeah, I need to go ahead and moisten my throat because that story was fucking long. Oh yeah, I forgot to put this in my private DMs, group chats. Put in Tunok, Horror Tubers. I bet you anything, I'm probably gonna get a message from, "Why you want us to come to your live streams? You didn't come to ours." Well, I'm sorry, but family comes first. Unfortunately, it always comes first. I'll put in another group chat that is possibly dead. But at least I'll try to get some more people in here. And I got an email. Hold on a second. It's from Subject Illuminate. It's called Feed the Ooh. Thanks for the request, subject, but however, I can't read this story without permission because here's a little story. There's this narrator called Goblin Princess Kyu, and Wepa! A local nightmare. What's up? Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Thank you for coming. But onto my story. There's a narrator called Goblin Princess Kyu. Right now she's on hiatus, but she did read that story from creepypasta.wikia, not knowing that it was originally from No Sleep, and because she did narrate that story for her channel, Wepa. Had to get that in one more time. But after she narrated, she wound up getting a copyright strike, and because that story was stolen from No Sleep, and that was until the original author contacted her and was like, "Hey, listen, I know about the copyrights. I know what happened and everything, and I'm willing to work with you." Da, 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 da. And so she wound up getting help with the Sleepless Watchdogs, and that's Morticia White. What's up? How you doing? Welcome to my stream for the first time. I don't know if you've been here, been in any of my streams, but welcome. She's a good friend of mine. Oh no, it's okay, subject. Your heart was in the right place, but I mean, it's a good story and everything, but like I said, you got to be careful where it was. If you see a good story on there, but you're a little bit suspicious where it came from, always do your research. You know. Doing this tomorrow. I'm not sure. Depending on if I feel it or not, and that's depending on if anybody else bigger is going to be streaming tomorrow. Because Lord knows if I stream tomorrow, everybody's going to be flocking to them. But if you got a couple of stories, yeah, go ahead and email them to me. I mean, I have a pinned thing in the group chat, in the chat box above. You can send my email or send them my subreddit, because Lord knows that my subreddit needs some love. But yeah, feel free to send me the stories that you want narrated from yours truly. I made some tea earlier. I don't know if I want to grab that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and... she did, but Kiyu didn't make a video about it. Goblin. There we go. Make a video about it, and... So, I'll go ahead and... Yeah. Hang on a second, I gotta... Yeah, I gotta look for my stream, because I'm pulling double D, streaming to you guys, and posted some shit on my phone. But yeah. But it's pretty much a video about copyright and everything. So if you want to check out the whole story of how she got the copyright strike, I just posted it in the chat. So feel free to open up a tab later. And just wait till later. I'm not saying watch it right now because Lord knows I still want to stream to you guys. But I'm pretty sure Kia would appreciate me spreading the word and was like, hey, you want to narrate some stories from No Sleep? You gotta ask permission. But if you see something that looks like it's from No Sleep, but you want to be cautious anyway, do your research. Because you'll never know when... I mean, let me put it this way. Creepypasta Wikia is a good source for like a free to use or free to narrate stories, but it can also be like a trap for some others because you never know. Yes, that hoodie is gonna look good on you, and it might, because I don't know how the weather is where you're at, but over here, winter's coming. We still yet to see snow. And it's Texas. Alrighty. Let's see how many pages this is. Jesus Christ. Let's see. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 and a half. God damn! I don't know. Is it worth the challenge? 32 degrees. Holy shit. Well, if you insist, the links to my my Teespring store is in the comment section down below. And what part of Texas? I live outside of Houston. If that gives you a general idea. Did Evil just dox himself? No. Then again, not all of you know my face, so. Anyways. This story is taking place in England, so. And it's like 13 and a half pages, but you know what? Oh, yeah, you're in Chicago. Yeah, I remember you saying something in the Zombified streams. That reminds me. Every Sunday on Dizombified from 2 p.m. CST to whenever they let us go. Whenever they let us go, me, CCG, and Philly Noctis host a segment called show called Tomb Talk. It's a coffin discussion, or in Wardle's case, is round table discussion of everything horror. And last week we didn't have a show because, well, people weren't feeling well. But this Sunday we're definitely going to have a show. I know this week's guest is going to be Madam Frightmare, and I forget who else, but I know the Horror Honeys are going to be live tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, and be sure to check out that. Yes, Tomb Talk Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm saying 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Your show is like on the same show, but it's tomorrow night. Am I correct? And then hours from later, it's another show. What was it called? Writers something. I know it's starting. Oh yeah, Chronopasta. Thank you, Mia. But I know there's another show with Philly and Dustin. What was it? Writers something. Mia, help me out here. Yeah, Chronopasta and Madam Frightmare. They were supposed to be scheduled for last week, but again, people were sick, so we had to postpone until next week. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Madam Frightmare know. Oh. And we have another story request. Anime! What's up? I came in and heard Chrono. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard some stories from Chronopasta, and mainly from Philly Noctis' channel. He does some great writing, but I got a story request. Evil. Well, if it does come down to it, there was another story that you can read as well if you like. This was from the horror story creation thing I told you. I mean, man, that's Discord. Oh yeah, I remember you. Oh yeah, subject. I remember you telling me that story, and dude, I listened to it and I was like, primo. Yes, Mia. Yes, Mia. We all scream. But I call y'all the Horror Honeys because it's you, Bansheeba, Dame Saturday, which, by the way, I need to get in contact with very soon, and Mary P. If she's still on the show. I don't know what's going on because I know last week she wasn't there for work reasons. But yeah. Well, thank you for giving me permission to. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. And this is written by Subject Illumined as well. Well, thank you for giving me permission to narrate this one. And this story is by Subject Illuminate. And if you want to. If he's still in here, thank you for the story. And this story is called. And this story is called The Song. Drink of water before I start. And this is not the tone I want to use to say this because of Makes me cringe, but stay hydrated. Yeah, I pretty much made a jab there. Come at me. Anyways, the song by Subject Illuminate. Through the thick array of bushes and trees, a swift arrow glides through the darkening snowy canvases. The song it sings is that of a single note, cold and sharp, before falling into an abrupt end as it pierces the chest. Fuck. It's my homeboy. This is my friend's story, and I'm already fucking up. I'm sorry. Before falling into an abrupt end as it pierces the chest of its marked prey. The deer stumbles and runs a short distance before collapsing over. Its final breath enters the cold atmosphere around. Much like the arrow, it sings a song of its own. Hooves kicking against the soft snow. Soft like the arrow's voice, before descending into an almost forever falling tone. Silence. Deeply patient, the deer patiently lays on the snow, its heart slowed to a pause. Minutes pass after the deer lays in silence before a hand retrieves the rested arrow. A middle-aged hunter stands, brushing some snow off their shoulders before cutting into the deer. Snow slowly embraces the blood. The snow that once showed above the surface now marked the grave of only a corpse's red insignia. The flow of stream erupts from the carcass's ward chamber. Guts pulled out one by one into a bag. First some of the organs, then the hooves, then lastly the head. The hunter, who was wasteful as some may be, leaves the now partially empty deer in the snow for winter to watch over. Its cold, vacant eyes stare at nothing as the hunter walks away with the head bouncing about in the bag. The leftover carrion is given company by a family of ravens, feasting on what the hunter couldn't finish. On the first peck, however, a single leg still kicks even after its passing. A few nights fall, her veil seducing the outside light into a pale blue. The brightest thing that brings her eyes to a gaze is a small cabin. God damn it, Cece. The brightest thing that brings her eyes to a gaze is a small cabin where the hunter now stays. Trophies proudly loom. The recently new bringings now add to the display. The hunter, after a long day of work, sits in their chair with their meal, whiskey in hand, with a plate of liver and heart. Their faces warm to the touch. They feel accomplished. A hunter's legacy continues to live beyond the grave. No, I gotta do it right. A hunter's legacy continues to live beyond the grave. A voice speaks to their mind coldly. Inside the decorated cabin stands a table with an old radio. It sings weakly as a blizzard slowly forms around the small section. It wants inside, pounding at the window and the door. Noticing the storm is getting stronger, they decided to close the curtains. Something is wrong, however. Outside the window they choose to close stands something in the distance. A dark shadow walks past the tower trees that surround. They are dumbstruck at what they see and blinked a few times, believing it's the alcohol. On their final blink, what they saw is now enveloped in a fierce overlay of snow and fog. A soft grin paints their face. That was their last glass for the night. The storm continues to scream over the radio songs. However, the hunter ignores its pleas. They lay in their bed, cozy in its warm hug. And finally their eyes eventually close as they are casted into a dream. Midnight passes. The hunter then wakes up to the loud cries outside, like wind is to the glass. They pull a pillow over their ears and face, for it's louder than it was before. It sounds almost like it's crying, screaming, maybe even singing. Come on. The storm has to pass. They speak in a tired voice. They're pacing almost in rhythm. Now. Come on. It's only been a couple of hours since they fell asleep. Yet the song continues to pass through the pillow. Something flashes in the hunter's mind. Stop! Then it stops. Not as in a slow fade, but rather like they heard the pleas of the hunter almost. A sigh of relief, followed by a release of the pillow, which is set behind their head. They lay. Sorry about that. They lay to their side, their face to the only window of the room. Something is watching. Something is watching through the window. Their heart pauses in angst. It's the shape they saw before, only more defined as it's pressed against the window. It's pitch black, but the mouth can be seen making a series of movements and unheard words, speaking to them in silence. The once confident hunter is now frozen like the deer's corpse left in the snow for ravens to be fed. That thought throws them into a state of adrenaline, scream both in fear and anger as they stand up, retrieving the rifle from their bedroom closet. They turn to aim at the window, only to see darkness and the night's trees returning their calm stare. That's when they notice something else. There is no snowfall, and there was no snow. Tongue-tied. My eyes. There is no snowfall, and there was no snowfall. No source of the harsh melody, but that of only the shadow that once stood at the window. They couldn't sleep. Visions of the night before, flashes of the deer's silent stare, the trees that looked down below the window. Their gun is useless, for it stopped working a year before, used now as a bluff or repellent for intruders. Their mind raced nonstop for minutes. Snap. They have had enough. Opening the door to the living room, a glass is poured to the brim with whiskey quickly. It is downed faster than it is poured. Stress had been taking over them. The firewood crackles loudly, the occasional pop now making them jolt at the slightest thought of anything that could have been in the house. Inside, however, in the corner, their eyes catch the body of a dead mouse. They never noticed it before, but it looks to have shown slights of decay from a distance. Upon further inspection, however, it wasn't just decay. There were marks, teeth marks to be specific, for a chunk of its back was chewed off. This wasn't the work of any indoor pest. It had had to have been something much bigger. Thud. The hunter darts to the source. It's the door. There is silence, however. That single thud was the room's main sound. The radio was silent. No more songs to bring comforting memories. The fire popped here and there, but the room to them is uncomfortably quiet. They seem to keep their eyes off that door, waiting for its next improvised composition. The mouse they once held, now back on the floor as they dropped it after a thud. Tears begin to streak down the hunter's cheeks. They don't know if what they see and hear is real anymore. That's when something familiar catches their ears. It's quiet, but they can hear it. Like the howling of a blizzard, but silent, like it's that of a whimper. It's coming to the closed bedroom door. It's coming from the closed bedroom door. It sounds almost sad, like it's singing its despairing melody. The hunter whimpers quietly as well, knowing whatever it is out there is nothing they can quite possibly describe or imagine what it could be. Something else puts them into almost a daze. How could they not notice? They never closed that bedroom door. The fireplace is no longer crackling. The room is getting colder, like the cold touch from that of a cold arrow's tip. They refuse to move from where they stand, facing the door, as the light slowly fades in the room, extinguished like the life of a stray deer. Hunted. The song continues as the hunter slowly sits against the wall, staring. They know that whatever is in there sings a lullaby that could not stop at any moment. That's when all the light becomes vacant. No more songs are sung. The doorknob is heard turning. Man, dude, if you weren't, dude, I gotta say, if you weren't making music, I gotta say you got a career in writing as well, man. Nothing wrong with being multi-talented right there. But yeah, that was the song by Subject Illuminate. What do you guys think? I actually heard the, I actually read the story and read the story before and everything, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, of course, this was supposed to be for a secret project. I don't know if it was secret or not, but I thought it was okay. I gotta let my hair down. I need to take a bath at some point. But yeah, what'd you guys think? Let's look back in the chat. Anime says very welcome and hey, a local, giving them a smiley face. Anime says very Kane like right there. Maybe, but better. Onyxville, what's up? Hydration is important. Yeah, I need to cut back on sodas actually, and start drinking some more hydrated stuff. And yeah, hydration is so important. Mia says I'm so dehydrated. It's not funny. Mia, go get some water. You need to stay hydrated. I don't want you thirsty. Poor undead ballerina. You may be undead, but you still need to drink water. God damn it. And we see creepy clown girl. Yeah, I said God damn it earlier because I was reading the story on my phone and your notification popped up. I was like, God damn it. Would you let me read for a few minutes? You see anime go from gray to blue, by the way. Thank you, subject. Yeah, I tried my best, but I did stumble a little bit here and there, but it was a great story. I mean, like I say, if you ain't doing music, man, you should consider writing, you know? And we see PA Nightmare come back here. Welcome back. I see, hey, anime says, hey, Chris. Christine Baker, what's up? Welcome. And yes, Christine, I did receive your package at some point. Yesterday. I was gonna do like a little unboxing thing or whatever, but because of all the chaos that's been going around in my house, I couldn't be able to do it because I wanted to be a surprise. You know, I just wanted to see and be actually surprised at it. I haven't gotten to open the package yet, but I will soon. I promise. Don't hold it up against me. We had not had any power, etc. Yeah, I understand. Well, I know you told me in DMs that you got your power back on, but what about water and gas and all that stuff? Were you able to get that back on? Yeah, anime. That is a good idea. Fire. The firehouse is always there to help you out and everything. So if you need anything like water and such, yeah, you probably should hit them up. I mean, Louisiana needs it now more than ever because I don't know. This has got to be like the third or fourth storm that's passed by Louisiana, and it is getting pounded badly. And I really, really feel bad for y'all. It's like, why you gotta hit Louisiana? Why you got why? What did Louisiana ever do to you? Take my state. We suck. Animated like, what, bruh? What, bruh? What? And there's one possibly brewing in the Gulf again. Son of a. Yeah, I'm noticing that all the hurricanes have been named after military names, letters or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, be safe out there, Mia. You know, all of us worry about you. But yeah, anime. If you notice that your name is turned blue and there's a little tool, well, you're a very awesome friend to me and everything. Not friend to me, not friend of me. Duke, lay down. But you definitely deserve it. Greek letters now? Oh, great. But yeah, you definitely deserve it. And welcome to being one of my tools. You are officially a tool of the Nightmare Running streams. I'm glad you got that joke. What do you want, Duke? And to those of you who don't know, Duke is a dog that the family has. I guess it's mine now, since I'm the only one who takes care of the dogs, and they're probably wanting to go outside. But I guess this would be a good time to take a break for right now. So when I come back, we'll be doing some more stories. So where's the be right back thing? So if anybody has any stories written and want me to narrate, feel free to not DM me, email them to me or drop them to my subreddit. But I'm gonna take the dogs out and then refill, and then go pee, and then I'm gonna refill my water, and I will be right back. And I am back. Sorry that took so long. Oh, looks like there's been some flexing while I was gone. Alright. Well, I guess, yeah, there was definitely a lot of flexing going on. But yeah, to those who just joined the stream, you missed out some good stories. One by, from the Chilling Horrors short stories Gothic Fantasies book, and another one by Subject Illuminate. Very well, it was a very well written, and if he does decide to make any more stories, I would love for him to bring out his own narrations on his own channel if he wants to do that. If not, well, hit your boy up. Yeah, like I said, very well when the plot was like getting tense, but speaking of real written, I know some of you have seen my tweets earlier about how toxic people are slandering people for being toxic themselves. I don't know if some of you know about this. I mean, some of you do know what's been going on behind the scenes and everything, but somebody got butthurt over some criticism for their stories, and instead of just taking some advice from you, well, from what I was told, and I'm not going to give you specific names or whatever because that's been done already, but 3 individuals were working on a story, and from what I was told, one person wanted to work it their way and everything, but the other 2 people were writing it their way since it was their story, and the other person was writing it his way, and they were like, "May I make a few suggestions?" And this person wound up leaving that little group chat or whatever, and started going around telling everybody through DMs, through Discord, and all that bullshit, trying to brainwash everybody to thinking this person was bad over a little petty disagreement. I honestly think it's kind of fucking petty, and it pretty much showed their toxicity and how fucking unstable this person is. My advice to anybody who is starting to write or whatever, well, I'm going to start writing or whatever, but if somebody tells you that there may be a little bit something wrong with your story, or there's a whole lot of something wrong, and they try to give you advice, take the goddamn advice. Don't get all butthurt or whatever, and get all triggered or whatever just because they see something in a story that you didn't see wrong or whatever. Yeah, so loco, there's always going to be haters, but there's always going to be people that are going to be happy about their shitty work and not take any help to improve their writing. I know some of you in the chat know who the fuck I'm talking about. Believe me. And I wasn't there for all the Discord meetings and the Carnival of Horrors, but once that got back to me, I was like, okay, so this dude must be on this period. But when this dude was going around calling this person or another, calling this woman or another woman, you ready for this? Calling these women the C word. That was an instant friendship killer right there. So I don't care if, I mean, fellas, I don't care if you have a problem with women, whether it be your best friend, your lady friend, your girlfriend, your wife, or whatever. Don't fucking call them the C word. Ever. And don't go around telling these people that, telling the people that you don't agree with that they're toxic or whatever. Just admit to the fact that you can't fucking do shit right. Okay? But that really set me over the edge. And I was like, you know what? And I saw a couple of my friends that were living in the horror community because they had a disagreement with that person or whatever. But that person is still wanting to make amends with. I'm not sure when. Yes, a local. It's a dude. Three different people now. Okay, you're gonna have to Yeah. Yeah, he ain't no fucking no man. He ain't no fucking narrator. He can't even. He can't even edit his own fucking narrations right. Dustin, you're gonna have to talk to Anime about that behind the scenes. Yes, creepy clown girl. Yeah, you and Phil. Yeah, I was trying to keep that a secret, but I guess it's out in the open now. Bottom line, if you're gonna disagree with a woman and you want to get pissed off about it or whatever, keep it to your goddamn self. Don't go around fucking Discord telling all these people that they're the C word or they're toxic or whatever. Dude. Dude, just fucking either take the criticism or not. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and admit that you're wrong. Not only in your writing, but in your actions. Because actions speak louder than words. And moving on. I figure I get that out of the way before we move on to our next story. But like I said, criticism is easy to take, whether you want to take it or not. You want to take criticism and let it sink into your head, and then use it to improve whatever you do, whether it be writing or narration or music or movies or anything like that. Take it. But if you don't want to do it, fine. That's up to you. You don't want to take the advice? That's on you. But don't go around calling people toxic and then oh no, local. I'm not what is saying leaving hanging. I'm not leaving you hanging, man. Yeah, that is up. Yes, Christina. I said earlier that I got your dice, but I wanted to make like a video unboxing thing or unpackaging thing, but because of all the chaos that's been going around in my house, I haven't had the time to like film it. But I do have it with me. I do have the package, and I'm gonna unpackage it some. Matt Chatter, what's up? I'm just heading to bed. Didn't realize you were streaming. Aw, yeah. I forgot to post it. Post that in. I know I posted it in Lady Spicaria's server, but I also forgot to post it in Weekly Creeps' server because I know you're more active in there. I'm sorry, Chatter. I mean, but yeah, if you're heading to bed, good night, man. Oh well, thank you for coming by, a local. I mean, you're one of the true ones here, and hope you have a good night. And stay safe out there, man. If it's 32 out there, then keep bundled up. Keep them nuts warm. I almost left the horror pop community. No, Cece, don't fucking leave the community, okay? Not over this asshole. He's not even mad at this point. Alright. Happy Halloween, chatter. You know what? Happy Halloween to all of you as well. Ladies Precarion, what's up? You're just in time. I just went on a tangent, but earlier, but you missed some stories. One from what's this author called again? It was called Worth the Having by Michael Paul Gonzalez, and I read another story by Subject Illuminate. All right, night, man, chatter. Thank you for coming by, man. So, let's move on from the drama. Weekly! Wanted to pop in and say hello and happy Halloween. Aw, well, I'm glad you came by, man. Thanks for coming by. I'm sorry I missed y'all's live stream. You and Lace Vicaria. Because, I was on a date. A virtual date with a special someone. And I'm not going to say who, but we had a good time. We got to watch a replay of Joji's Extravaganza on YouTube. Don't ask how that got there. But Hero Skew, what's up? But yeah, I'm sorry I missed your live stream. But not only that, but I had to help the kiddies with pumpkin carving. And I'm gonna post those pictures either tomorrow or later tonight or whatever. It's already 2:17, but yeah, I'm glad all of y'all came here. It's all that in a bag of chips. We got the Mad Wombat, the Lady Penguin or whatever. I forgot what our weekly is. The Emu, maybe? Yeah. There will be more live streams. Well, I know there will be more live streams, but I saw Weekly there, and I wanted to show my support over there. And I was like, Lady Pangora, yes, Pangora. Emu Senpai. Yeah, there we go. Emu. I like that word. Amazing, welcome. What the fuck? Welcome back. God damn it! Give me back my love sock. All right, good night, MC. Get some sleep. All right, let's see here. What's gonna be my next story? Oh, it's from a guy named. No, this was the 13-page long story. I don't know, dudes. Do you think I can take the challenge? Read a 13-page long story? Why not? I read 30-minute stories before. Well. Alrighty. Like I said, this story is a short story from Gothic Fantasies, Chilling Horse Sword Stories. And this story is from a guy named Thomas Hardy. I don't know what kind of works he was working on, but this seems kind of eerie, and it's from agricultural England. And I'm not going to be able to pull off an English accent, but so bear with me. But this story is called The Three Strangers. Among the few features of agricultural England which retained an appearance but little modified by the lapse of centuries, may be reckoned the high, grassy, and furzy downs, combs, and eardleys, as they are indifferently called, that fill a large area of certain countries in the south and southwest. If any mark of human occupation is met with Huron, it usually takes the form of the solitary cottage of some shepherd. 50 years ago, such a lonely cottage stood. Oh yeah, shit, I forgot. Time to bust out the Infinite Nugget launcher. Pew! There you go. There you go, Pangura. Your infinite supply of nuggies. Okay. It's never too late for Nugglies. Nuggies. Nugglies. Nugglies. Is that a fusion of Nuggies and a Snuggly or whatever? Oh, what the fuck! Don't poke Lacey Card with a nuggie. She might like it. It might bite your finger. Anyways, if any mark of human occupation is met with hereon, it usually takes the form of the solitary cottage of some shepherd. 50 years ago, such a lonely cottage stood on such a down, and may possibly be standing there now. It's okay, Earl. Just everybody sit back, grab a taco or some nuggies, and enjoy. In spite of its loneliness, however, the spot, by actual measurement, was not more than 5 miles from a country town. Yet that affected it a little. 5 miles of a regular upland during the long inseminable seasons, with their sleets, snows, rains, and mists, afford withdrawing space enough to isolate a Timian, or a holy shit, this is gonna break my brain, or a Nebuchadnezzar, or Nebuchadnezzar. It's close enough. Much less in fair weather, to please that less repellent tribe, the poets, philosophers, artists, and others who conceive and meditate of pleasant things. Some old earthen camp or barrow, some clump of trees, at least some starved fragments of ancient hedge, is usually taken advantage of in the in the election in the erection of these forlorn dwellings. But in the present case, such of kind shelter had been disregarded. Higher Crowstairs, as the house was called, stood quite detached and undefined. The only reason for its precise situation seemed to be the crossing of two footpaths at right angles by hand hard by, which may have crossed there, and thus for a good 500 years. Hence the house was exposed to the elements of all sides, but through the wind up here blew unmistakably when it did blow, but the rain hit hard whenever it fell. The various weathers of the winter season were not quite so formidable on the comb as they were imagined to be dwellers on low ground. The raw rhymes were not so pernicious as in the hollows, and the frost were scarcely so severe. Yes, anime. I was trying to pronounce that name. Thank you. Were scarcely so severe. When the shepherd and his family who tended the house were pitted for their sufferings from the exposure. They said that upon the whole they were less inconvenienced by wuzzles and flames, horses and phlegms. Than when they had lived by the stream of a snug neighboring valley. The night of March 28th, 1820 whatever, was precisely one of the nights that were wont to call forth these expressions of commisseration. The level rainstorm smote walls, slopes, and hedges like the cloth-yard shafts of sin. God, this is harder than Lovecraft. Like the cloth-yard shafts of Sedlock and Sherry, such sheep and outdoor animals as had no shelter stood with their buttocks in the wind, while the tails of little birds trying to roost on some scraggly thorn were blown inside like umbrellas. The gable end of the cottage was stained with wet, and the eavesdropping flagged against the wall. Yet never was commiseration for the shepherd more misplaced. For that cheerful rustic was entertaining a large party of glorification of the christening of his second girl. The guests have arrived before the rain began to fall, and they were all now assembled. They were all now assembled in the chief or living room of the dwelling. A glance into the apartment at 8 o'clock on this eventful evening would have resulted in the opinion that it was as cozy and comfortable a nook as could be wished for in boisterous weather. The calling of its inhabitant was okay, slow down, Evil. The calling of its inhabitant was proclaimed by a number of highly polished sheep crooks without stems that were hung ornamentally over the fireplace. The curl of each shining crook, varying from the antiquated type engraved in the partial pictures of old family Bibles, to the most approved fashion of the last local sheep fair. The room was lightened by half a dozen candles, having wicks only a trifle smaller than the grease which enveloped them. The candlesticks were never used but at high days, holy days, and family feasts. The lights were scattered about the room. Two of them standing on the chimney piece. This position of candles was in itself significant. Candles on the chimney place always meant a party. On the hearth, in front of a black brand, in front of a back brand to give substance, blazed a fire of thorns that crackled like the laughter of a fool. 19 persons were gathered here. Of these, 5 women, wearing gowns of various bright hues, sat in chairs along the wall. Girls shy and not shied filled the window bench. 4 men, including Charlie Jake, the hedge carpenter, Elijah New, the parish clerk, and John Pitcher, a neighboring dairyman. Who were blushing over tentative poor parlors on life companionship, sat beneath the corner cupboard, and an elderly engaged man of 50 or upward moved relentlessly about from spots where his betrothed was not to the spot where she was. Enjoyment was pretty general, and so much the more prevalent in being unhampered by conventional restrictions. Absolute confidence in each other's good opinion beget perfect ease, while the finishing stroke of manner, amounting to a truly princely serenity, was lent to the majority of the absence of any expression or trait denoting that they wish to get on in the world, enlarge their minds, or do any eclipsing thing whatever, which nowadays so generally nips the bloom and bonhomie of all except the two extremes of the social scale. Didn't think this was gonna hard. Didn't think this was gonna be harder than I thought. And I scared it away, everybody, because it was at 17 viewers. Now it was at 13 viewers. Now it's back to 7. Aww. Oh well. Lollipop, lollipop, oh lollipop, lollipop. Alright. Shepherd Fennel had married well, his wife being a dairyman's daughter from a vale at a distance, who brought 50 guineas in her pocket, and kept them there till they should be required for ministering to the needs of a coming family. This frugal woman had been somewhat exercised as to the character that should be given to the gathering. A sit-still party had its advantages, but an undisturbed position of ease in chairs and settles was apt to lead on. Trying to slow down. Sorry. Oh, emo dotting. What's up? Haven't seen you in a long time. But an undisturbed oh yeah, here we are. A sit-still party had its advantages, but an undisturbed position of ease in chairs and settles was apt to lead on the men to such an unconsiderable deal of topping that they would sometimes fairly drink the house dry. A dancing party was the alternative, but this, while avoiding the foregoing objection on the score of good drink, had a counterbalancing disadvantage in the matter of good virtuals. The ravenous appetites engendered by the exercise causing immense havoc in the buttery. Shepherdess Fennel fell back upon the intermediate plan of mingling short dances with short periods of talk and singing, so as to hinder any ungovernable rage in either. But this scheme was entirely confined to her own gentle mind. The shepherd himself was in the mood to exhibit the most reckless phase of hospitality. The fiddler was a boy of those parts, about 12 years of age, who had a wonderful dexterity in jigs and reels, though his fingers were so small and short as to necessitate a constant shifting for the high notes, from which he scrambled back to the first position with sounds not of unmixed purity of tone. All right, good night. All right, good night, Dustin. Sleep well. From which he scrambled back to the first position with sounds not of unmixed purity of tone. At 7, the shrill tweedledee of this youngster had begun, accompanied by a booming ground bass from Elijah New, the parish clerk, who had thoughtfully brought with him his favorite musical instrument, the serpent. Dancing was instantaneous. Mrs. Fennel privately enjoined the players on no account to let the dance exceed the length of a quarter of an hour. But Elijah and the boy, in the excitement of their position, quite forgot the injunction wore over Oliver Giles, a man of 17, one of the dancers, who was enamored of his partner, a fair girl of 33, rolling years, had recklessly handed a new crown piece to the musicians, as a bribe to keep going as long as they had muscle and wind. Miss Fennel, seeing the steam begin to generate on the contingencies of her guest, crossed over and touched the fiddler's elbow, and put her hand on the serpent's mouth. But they took no notice, and fearing she might lose her character in gentle hostess if she were to interfere too markedly, she retired and sat down helpless. And so the dance whizzed on with cumulative fury. Anime, you're going to bed too? All right. Good night. Thanks for coming. Well, thank you, PA. Wish there was more support from you coming from you and everything. But I digress. Anyways. Oh, okay, anime. You're staying. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm breaking the illusion or whatever. It's just that, like I said, I haven't read this book in in a while and everything. Well, I haven't looked at some of the other authors in this book, but this is quite a challenge. But I bet you anything Lovecraft is. But I can tell you right now, Lovecraft pretty much kicked my ass. But let's continue. Where was I? So the dance was going with cumulative fury. The performers moving their planet-like courses, direct and retrograde, from apogee to pedigree, to the hand of the well-kicked clock at the bottom of the room, had traveled over to travel over the circumference of an hour. While these cheerful events were in course of enactment with Fennel's pastoral dwelling, An incident having considerable bearing on the party had occurred in the gloomy night without. Mrs. Fennell, concerned about the growing fierceness of the dance, corresponded in point of time with the ascent of a human figure of the solitary hill of higher gross stairs. Oh, of higher gross stairs from the direction of the distant town. This personage strode on through the rain without a pause, following a little worn path which, further on in its course, skirted the shepherd's cottage. It was nearly the time of full moon, and on this account, through the sky was lined with a uniform sheet of dripping cloud. Ordinary objects out of doors were readily visible. The sad one light revealed the lonely pedestrian to be a man of supple frame. His gout suggested that he had somewhat passed the period of perfect and instinctive agility, though not so fair as to be otherwise than rapid of motion when occasionally required. At a rough guess, he might have been about 40 years of age. He appeared tall, but a recruiting sergeant or other person accustomed to the judgment of men's height by the eye, would have discerned that this was chiefly owing his gauntness, and that he was not more than 50 feet 8 or 9. Notwithstanding the regularity of his tread, there was a caution in it. Oh my God. Okay, I need to take a break from that one. Jaw's hurting a little bit. Well, Mia, if you need to lay down, then go lay down, okay? I'll still be here, just... Okay? You need to... like I said, lay down, okay? I'll still be here. I thought the safe word was pineapple. Okay, where the hell you get pineapples? Anyways. Yeah, like I said, Emo, I haven't seen you in a long time. And I'm kind of surprised that you came, but thank you for coming, though. Sweet. Either way, something pokey is involved. Just one has more girth than the other. Oh my God. Please take the left sock and right shoe. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know what I'm... Ooh, you got a surprise video tomorrow, Mia? Well, tell us now. I want to see. Anime. Man, I'm alright. Man, I'm already done cleaning up pumpkin guts and shit. No, what the fuck? You're not being ghosted. You need to quit taking my left sock. God damn it. As a matter of fact, give back everybody's left sock. I don't know what your deal is with getting left socks. It's not nobody's sock. But yeah, am I doing okay so far? If I'm doing a shitty job, just please let me know, and I can move on to another story. Throat kind of hurts a little bit, though. And one of the dogs is going ape shit. Hey, cool cat, what's up? No, don't apologize. If you need sleep, then sleep, okay? Otherwise, good morning. Yeah. I keep forgetting that some of these old-timey stories are like using words are pretty much like a dead language. Oh my god, my hair is getting tangled up. Not good. I don't know. Do you think I have the guts to continue on, or do you think I should stream again tomorrow? We can call this Stories After Dark, episode 8.2, 8.5, whatever. Why my couch though? It's dirty. It's full of dust bunnies and dog hair. Possibly cat. Alright. Let's see if we can try to trudge through this difficult story. This is becoming more of a challenge for your old boy. Not restrained, and I'm already fucking up. Notwithstanding the regularity of his tread, there was caution in it. As in, that is one who mentally feels his way, and despite the fact that it was not a black coat, nor a dark garment of any sort that he wore, there was something about him which suggested that he naturally belonged to the black-coated tribes of men. His clothes were of fustian, and his boots hobnailed. Yet in his progress, he showed not the muddy, accustomed bearing of hobnailed and Furstanian peasantry. By the time that he arrived abreast of the shepherd's premises, the rain came down, and rather came along with yet more determined violence. The outskirts of the little settlement partially broke the force of wind and rain, and this introduced him to stand still. The most salient of the shepherds and domestic erections was an empty stir, was an empty sty at the forward corner of it of his hedgeless garden. For in these latitudes, the principle of masking the homelier features of your establishment by a conventional frontage was unknown. The traveler's eye was attracted to this small building by the pilot shine of the Fuck, I lost my place. Oh, yeah. By the pallid shine of the wet slates that covered it. He turned aside and finding it empty, stood under the pent roof for shelter. While he stood, the boom of the serpent within the adjacent house and the lesser strains of the fiddler reached the spot as an accompaniment to the surging hiss of the flying rain on the sod. Its louder beating on the cottage leaves of the garden, on the 8 or 10 beehives. Oh, shit. Beehives, just disconcertable by the path, and it's dripping from the eaves into a row of buckets and pans that had been placed under the walls of the cottage. For at higher crow stairs, as at Happy Halloween, emo. For at higher crow stairs, as at all such elevated domiciles, the grand difficulty of housekeeping was an insufficiency of water, and a casual rainfall was utilized by turning out as catchers every utensil that the house contained. Some queer stories might be told of the contrivances for economy in suds and dishwashers that are absolutely necessitated in upland habitations during the droughts of summer. But at this season, there were no such exigent. Fuck. Exigencies. I'm gonna sound it out best I can. No such exigencies, and mere acceptance of what the skies bestowed was sufficient for an abundant store. At last, the notes of the serpent ceased, and the house was silent. The cessation of activity aroused the solitary pedestrian from the from the reverie into which he had lapsed, and, emerging from the shed, with an apparently new intention, he walked up the path to the house door. Arriving here, his first act was to kneel down on the large stone beside the row of vessels, and to drink a copious draught from one of them. Having quenched his thirst, he rose and lifted his hand and knock, but paused with his eyes upon the panel. Since the dark surface of the wood revealed absolutely nothing, it was evident that he must be mentally looking through the door, as if he wished to measure thereby all the possibilities that the house of this sort might include, and how they might bear upon the question of his entry. In his indecision, he turned and surveyed the scene around. Not a soul was anywhere. Not a soul was anywhere visible. The garden path stretched downward from his feet, gleaming like the track of a snail. The roof of the little well, mostly dry, the well cover, the top rail of the garden gate, were varnished with the same dull liquid glaze. Deglaze. Wow, far away in the vale. A faint whiteness winked a few bleared lamplights through the beating drops. Lights that denoted the situation of the country town from which he had appeared to come. The absence of all notes of light in that direction seemed to clinch his intentions, and he knocked at the door. Within, a desultory chat had taken the place of movement and musical sound. The hedge carpenter was suggesting a song to the company, which nobody just then was inclined to undertake, so that the knock afforded a not unwelcome diversion. "Walk in," said the shepherd promptly. The latch clicked upward, and out of the light our pedestrian appeared upon the doormat. The shepherd arose, snuffed 2 of the nearest candles, and turned to look at him. Their light disclosed that the stranger was dark in complexion, and not unprepossessing as to feature. His hat, which for a moment he did not remove, hung low over his eyes, without concealing that they were large, open, and determined. Moving with a flash rather than a glance around the room, he seemed pleased with the survey, and baring his shaggy head, said in a rich, deep voice, "The rain is so heavy, friends, that I ask leave to come in and rest a while." "To be sure, stranger," said the shepherd, "and faith, you've been lucky to have chosen your time, for we are having a bit of a fling for a glad cause. Though, to be sure, a man could hardly wish glad glad cause to be happen more than once a year. Nor less, spoke up a woman, for this, for for 'tis, fuck, for 'tis best to get your family over and done with as soon as you can, so as to be all the earlier out of the I'm not gonna repeat that word. And what may be this glad cause? Asked the stranger. A birth and a christening, said the shepherd. The stranger hoped his host might not be unhappy either by too many or too few of such episodes. And being invited by a gesture to a pull at the mug, he readily accosted. His manner, which before entering had been so dubious, was now altogether that of a careless and candid man. All right, what the fuck? You take care, man. Be safe out there, and thanks for coming by. Like to be trasping. Like to be trasping athwart this comb, hey? This comb, hey? Said the engaged man of 50. Lay it is, master, as you say. I'll take a seat in the chimney corner, if you have nothing to urge against it, ma'am. If you have nothing to urge against it, ma'am, for I am a little moist. He said moist, for I am a little moist on the side that was next the rain. Mrs. Shepherd Fennel assented and made room for the self-invited corner, who have got completely inside the chimney corner, stretched out his legs and his arms with the expansiveness of a person quite at home. Yes, I am rather cracked to the vamp, he said freely, seeing that the eyes of the shepherd's wife fell upon his boots. And I am not well fitted either. I have had some rough times lately, and have been forced to pick up what I can to get in the way of wearing, but I must find a suit better fit for working days when I reach home. One of hereabouts? She inquired. Well, thanks for coming by, Emo. You have a good night. And I guess, I don't know, maybe we'll talk later. If you want to. One of hereabouts? She inquired. Not quite that. Further up the country. I thought so. I thought so, and so be I. I thought so, and so be I. And by your tongue, you come from the neighborhood, from my neighborhood. But you would hardly, but you would hardly have heard of me, he said quickly. My time would be long before yours, ma'am, you see. This testimony would be this testimony to the youthfulness of his hostess had the effect of stopping her cross-examination. There was only one there was only one thing more wanted to make me happy. Continued continued the newcomer, and that is a little that's a little backy, which I am sorry to say I am out of. I'll fill your pipe, said the shepherd. I must ask you to lend his pipe likewise. I must ask you to lend me a pipe likewise. A smoker? And no pipe? And no pipe about? Eee. I have dropped it somewhere. I have dropped it somewhere on the road. The shepherd filled and handed him a new clay pipe, saying as he did so, hand me your baccy box. I'll fill that too. Now I am about it. The man went through the movement of searching his pockets. Lost that too, said his entertainers with some surprise. I'm afraid so, said the man with some confusion. Give it to me in a screw. Give it to me in a screw of paper. Lighting his pipe at the candle with a suction that drew the whole flame in the bowl. He resettled himself in the corner and bent his looks upon the faint stem from his damp legs, as if he wished to say no more. Being thirsty, Trixie? Fucking dog's looking at me. He's like, what do you think, motherfucker? Okay, fine. You can sit next to me. Okay? Come on. Sausage dog. Guess the doggy wanted to hear stories too. Okay, where was I? Lighting his pipe at the candle with a suction that drew the whole flame into the bowl, he resettled himself in the corner and bent his looks upon the faint stem from his damp legs, as if he wished to say no more. Meanwhile, the general body of guests had been taking little notice of this visitor by reason of an absorbing discussion in which they were engaged with a band about a tune for the next dance. The matter being they were about to stand up when an interruption came in the shape of another knock at the door. At sound of the same man in the chimney corner took up the poker and began stirring the brands as if doing it thoroughly were the one aim of his existence. And a second time, the shepherd said, "Rockin'." In a moment, another man stood upon the straw woven doormat. He too was a stranger. This individual was one of a typical ready. One of a typical radicality, different from the first. There was more to the commonplace of his manner, and a certain jovial cosmopolitanism sat upon his features. He was several years older than the first arrival, his hair being slightly frosted, his eyebrows bristly, and his whiskers cut back from his cheek. His face was rather full and flabby, and yet it was not altogether a face without power. A few grog blossoms marked the neighborhood of his nose. He flung back his long drab greatcoat, revealing that beneath it he wore a suit of cinder gray, shaded throughout. Large heavy seals of some metal or other that would take a polish, dangling from his fob as his only personal ornament. Shaking the water drops from his low-crowned glazed hat, he said, I must ask for a few minutes shelter, comrades, or I shall be wetted to my skin before I get to Casper Bridge. Make yourself at home, master, said the shepherd, perhaps a trifle less hearty than on the first occasion. Not that Fennel had the least tingle. Not that Fennel had the least tinge of. Oh boy. Oh boy. Another word that may sound racist. But you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna try it. Not that Fennel had the least tinge of Nigardless. Whatever, in his composition. But the room was far from large. Spare chairs were not numerous, and damp companions were not altogether desirable at close quarters for the women and girls in their bright-colored gowns. However, the second corner, after taking off his greatcoat and hanging his hat on the nail in one of the ceiling beams, as if he had been specially invited to put it there, advanced and sat down at the table. This had been pushed so closely into the chimney corner to give all available room to the dancers, that its inner edge grazed the elbow of the man who had ensconced himself by the fire, and thus the two strangers were brought in into the close companionship. They nodded to each other by way of breaking the ice in unacquaintance, and the first stranger handed his neighbor the family mug, a huge vessel of brown ware, having its upper edge worn away like a threshold by the rub of whole generations and of thirsty lips that had shit. Oh, my throat's burning. having its upper edge worn away like a threshold by the rub of whole generations of thirsty lips that had gone the way of all flesh, and bearing the following inscription burnt upon its rotund side in yellow letters: "There's no fun until I come." Let that sink in your head. The other man, nothing loath, raised a mug to his lips and drank on and on and on, till a curious blueness overspread the contentance of the shepherd's wife, who had regarded with no little surprise the first stranger's free offer to the second of what did not belong to him in dispense. "I knew it," said the topper the shepherd with much satisfaction. "When I walked up your garden before coming in, I saw the hives all of a row. I said to myself, where there's bees, there's honey, and where there's honey, there's mead. But mead is such a truly comfortable sort as this I really didn't expect to meet my older days." He took yet another pull at the mug, till it assumed an ominous elevation. "Glad you enjoy it," I said. "Glad you enjoy it," I said, the shepherd warmly. "It is goodish mead, assented Mrs. Farrell, with an absence of enthusiasm which seemed to say it was possible to buy praise for one cellar to empty a price. It was trouble enough to make, and really I hardly think we shall make any more. For honey sells well, and we ourselves can make shift with a drop of small mead and Methuen for common use from comb washing." "Oh, but you'll never have the heart," reproachfully cried the stranger with cinder gray, after taking up the mug a third time and setting it down empty. "I love mead when 'tis old like this, as I love to go to churches on Sundays, or to relieve the nearby any day of the week." said the man in the chimney corner, who, in spite of the texture induced by the pipe of tobacco, could not hear, or would not refrain from this slight testimony to his comrade's humor. Now the old mead of those days brewed. Man, you know what? I think I'm going to stop it right here. I tried. Anybody still in the chat? I see 6 of you, and there's... Anybody at all? Is this even working? Okay. Yeah, I think I strained my voice a little bit. Sorry, guys. But I don't know. What did you think of the story so far? Yeah, I figured I'd stop there because if I had enough energy to go for another 2 or 3 hours, but honestly, I'm really getting tired, and we're just starting to mix into my vision. Yeah, my throat's a little sore. I don't know. So what do you say? Do you think we should try again tomorrow night? Okay, Trixie, I'm gonna need you to get off. Fix it and lay down. Go on. Good girl. Alrighty. Then I shall schedule for tomorrow's stream. But like I said, it's not really a goodbye. It's more of a see you later. And maybe we'll probably get some more people up here. Aw. Oh, I'm sorry, Cool Cat. Well, I'm probably gonna stream at the same time around midnight anime. So I'm gonna go ahead and schedule for tomorrow, and we'll pick up from there. But I guess I'm gonna end on the usual spiel. I did not realize my mic was muted on this scene, but yeah. Let's try that again. Don't forget to like, comment, share this with everybody you know. Subscribe if you haven't, and enjoy. Also, don't forget to check out my social medias. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And consider checking out my merch store and see what you like. We're stocking up on hoodies. But if you have any stories you have written and you want them read by yours truly, have them submitted over to my email or my subreddit. Once again, links are in the description down below. And if you want to take this channel a step further, considering donating to my PayPal or my Patreon. It's a great way to support the channel, and it will help to make making better quality videos. With that said, thank you all for coming out. I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, I'll be watching in the shadows.